Okay, it's 4:05, Adrienne.
Okay, do you want me to start?
Yeah, I think we should maybe have a lot of material to cover, so
We do.
we should maybe kick it off here.
Great, and we're also recording it so people can go back if they want to listen to it at a later time, right? Or if they come in late, they can always can listen to it. Great. Okay, so I just want to say welcome to our ambassadors and council members from across Western Canada. I'm so pleased to welcome folks from Manitoba to British Columbia. This is the first time we've ever done this, so really excited about it. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Adrienne Boothroyd, Director of Community Volunteer Experience. And today we are kicking off our Ambassador Fall Training via Zoom. You should have received a handout package via email. It contained a copy of the agenda as well as the elevator pitch practice sheets and some of the presentation slides. Before we begin, I want to acknowledge and thank a few MS Society staff, Nelson, Kelly, and a shout out to Joelle and also Marcia, who came in at the last minute to help us manage the Zoom workshops and are working behind the scenes. This is the first time that we've ever held a virtual session. Usually our sessions are done face-to-face, so we certainly ask for your patience as there's going to be a lot of learning for us, but just very, very excited to be able to host this session and look forward to this being the building blocks of something really great. For those of you who are not familiar with the BCY Ambassador Program, it is a program that is coordinated by 4 leadership volunteers, and really their talent and their dedication makes this program happen. Without them, we wouldn't have this program. So it truly is a volunteer-led program for volunteers. So I just want to extend a very sincere thank you to them for all of their efforts and their time and their talent. So today you will be learning about the existing Ambassador Program experience in BC, what the program is all about, who is an ambassador and what they do. Then we will be going over some public speaking basics. We hope to give you some tools to help you tell your story. Then we've got some experienced ambassadors who will give some in-person examples of excellent storytelling. But before we begin, I've been asked to share some housekeeping tips to keep in mind for this and all online meetings that you attend. Make the conscious choice to be on camera or not. If you are enabling your video, remember to wear pants. We've all seen the videos on the internet of people being in compromised positions when they don't know that their camera is on. Good lighting is crucial for everyone so that we can see you properly. And generally you should stay muted unless you're speaking. This just creates less background noise and it's less distracting for everybody on the call. If you want to raise your hand, Zoom does have the ability to do that. So if you do have a question, you can press the raise your hand button and we can respond. When you do want to speak or have a question, please identify your name and sort of where you're from. And when you're going to speak, please just think about how much you're sharing and just ensure that there's time for everybody to have the opportunity to share. On Zoom, you can also type feedback or questions into the chat box. Today, please feel free to do that at any time, but we will be answering those questions towards the end of the session. So please note that I'll be taking notes of your questions and we will get to them at the end of the session. So the chat box can be found by clicking or tapping on the 3 dots. If you need any help with that, just maybe raise your hand and we can help you. So for today, I'd like to introduce, and super happy to introduce, the chair of the Ambassador Executive Committee and longtime leadership volunteer, Marilyn Lenson. Marilyn is also a BC and Yukon Division Council member, an active bike participant, and a past recipient of the prestigious Canada Volunteer Award as Community Leader. So Marilyn has done so many things for the MS Society that doesn't even really capture or give justice to all the amazing work that she's done. But yeah, just want to introduce it and pass it over to Marilyn.
Marilyn, you are muted, you know.
Okay. Now can you hear me and see me? Now, good. Okay, well, I want to thank everybody. I'm sure we'll have a few glitches today. As I said, this is the first one going through. And I'm just checking Adrian's. You can hear me now, correct, Adrian? We have just for everybody, it's on the call. We know there's going to be a few glitches today, so if you do see us look down a bit, we're texting each other in the background as executive if there's any glitches so that we can try and solve them. So thank you, and this is very exciting to have everybody from, I'm going to do it differently, from British Columbia to Manitoba. Adrian started from Manitoba to British Columbia. This is something that I have worked on as a volunteer for years, and I work with a great group of people who you're going to meet most of them today, and we really feel that this is something important that we do. We call ourselves ambassadors, and ambassadors were a very important part of the MS community. So, but how does that fit in with the MS Society? So I just want to take a moment and I want to reflect back to the MS Society's mission statement. So it says in the mission statement, our vision is to have a world free of multiple sclerosis. And our mission is to connect and empower the MS community to create positive change. So I just want to sort of do a little thumbs up here if we're not going to do the official poll, but just give me a thumbs up on your screen if you really feel that you as an ambassador are part of connecting and empowering the community to create positive change. So I see a few thumbs up there. That's, you know, and I think as we go through today and we really look at it, hopefully those of you who didn't have put your thumb up, we'll learn from what we're doing today and really see that as ambassadors, we are impact driven. We do make a difference. We're collaborative. I think today is a very good example of collaboratively and how we all work together. And I know we're compassionate and we help, we think big. Here we're thinking big. You know, we've always done this in the past in a real world, everybody in the same room. And here we are virtual today because I know we're resilient and we don't give up. So I think as ambassadors, we really fit well into the MS Society's new vision and mission and values. So moving on to my next page here, I gotta look down as I go and hopefully cover off all of the parts here. So when we talk about our MS community, I know the MS community is very broad and it's made up of a lot of things. And I think most of us on the call today, you know, wouldn't just say that you put on one of those things that are on that list. You know, many of us are people, you are people who are fundraisers. You're also donors. You're volunteers. You may be caregivers, you may be friends, you may be family. But what all of that does as ambassadors, by taking all of those different things that we're able to talk about as ambassadors, and it's the value of what we say in our personal stories that really helps us enhance what the MS Society staff is doing and make a bigger impact and positive impact on the MS community. So my personal experience living with MS and being able to articulate this, sometimes I'm talking to staff, sometimes I'm talking at different types of events, being able to paint a picture of how MS has helped me, how the MS Society has helped me over the years with peer support, equipment, education, even setting a goal and participate in my first MS bike after being diagnosed for 15 years, has transformed me into a healthier, stronger, and more fulfilled. Sorry, can't hear you. Slide, please. I have to take a check back. Are you guys getting me okay?
There's a bit of a delayed feedback, Marilyn.
Okay, there is delayed feedback. You are getting me okay. Okay, so this was just a old text that I looked
There's a
down.
freeze, yeah.
Okay. So getting started to participate. There is a freeze. Can we just pause for 1 second? I am using wireless and I will plug in a wired connection and that may help us. So just give me 1 moment, please, people. If you can see me, I have the internet connection that's come from the other room. A little tricky to get it into my computer. My apologies. You'll see the rest of my room while I'm trying to do this. Okay, now I've gone to a wired connection. Let's hope that that helps with the delay that we were experiencing. Can everybody see me again? Okay.
Yes, you sound great.
Okay, let's see if that helps our delay problem. My apologies for not doing that. I was talking about painting a picture. And that is something with all those different hats that we do as at different parts of the community that gives us the ability, all those different types of things, our experiences as ambassadors, being able to take that and then take that experience and paint pictures for people. And as I was saying, that really enhances what the information that's out there that the MS Society does, because their staff might not, they don't have that personal experiences themselves. You guys just fell off my stack of books there too. I'm having a few technical issues here today. Okay. The other night when I was watching the local news, it happened to be the week that Variety does their fundraising. And each night they had somebody come on. It's young children who need help with equipment or need help with sports. And they had this 9-year-old girl come on. And she was unbelievably articulate. She told the story about what her disability was and that she was in a wheelchair. And she needed a new power wheelchair because the one that she had didn't give her support. So she was slumping over all the time. It was very difficult and it was very painful for her. So the idea is they tell these personal stories, and, you know, I was very moved by it. And it was very, very effective because the next night on the news, they came on and they gave just a little snippet of, you remember the girl's name who was on last night. Well, after that newscast, a donor came forward and he contributed for 100% of the cost of her wheelchair. And not only that, he said he would pick up the cost of anybody else who was on the wait list for Variety to get power wheelchairs for children. So why I bring this up is because that girl told a personal story. She told it from her heart. She told it with feeling. She connected to people. And you can see the impact of doing that. And that's what we have the capability of doing as ambassadors, is doing that same thing by telling our personal stories and with our connections to MS. It really gives people an insight to it. And with that insight, we will get more people who will come and volunteer with us. We will get more people who will become donors. And, you know, we will hopefully meet our ultimate goal, which is a world free of MS. So, going back here to my script so I don't get too off topic. How did our MS Ambassador program start here? Well, it was joked 9 years ago because I had done quite a bit of public speaking for the MS Society, that they said, how can we clone you? How can we, have more Marilyns? Well, unfortunately, we don't have the technology for that yet. But at that time, Alberta had an ambassador program. And myself and Gambito, one of the other the ambassador executives, we went to see what they were doing at one of their annual meetings. And we came back, and that was really the seed of and the inspiration of our ambassador program that we've grown over the last 9 years here in British Columbia. And now we have 65 people like me who are trained to go out and tell their personal story. And we're growing that, and that's exciting because, you know, now today we're launching that back to Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and we had 70 people registered for today's session. Some of our sessions we have 90 people or 80 people, sorry, registered for. So we can exponentially see how that is growing and growing and growing. What we like to refer to in the ambassador lingo, as we'll call us, is as ambassadors, we really strengthen the web of the MS Society. So if you think of the MS Society as the very center of the web, we as ambassadors are out there and we can do a lot of different things. We can be telling our story like I am today. We can be out and we can be talking to media before events. We can be doing presentations. We can be helping with fundraising. There's lots of different hats that we can wear. And I don't know about you, but the other day I went out and I was trying to knock down the spider webs around my house. Let me tell you, that's virtually impossible. And I think as ambassadors, we're kind of like that as well. We create this very strong web, and our web is strong, and it grows and it grows and it grows. And with the expansion of our program to the additional provinces, I know that that web is going to be very strong and very powerful and have lots of impact on the MS Society. Some of our ambassadors in BC here are people like myself who have MS. Some people are friends, family, caregivers. The way we have our structured in British Columbia is if you are a council member for one of the different regional areas within our province. We have 3 regional areas within British Columbia. All of our council members are ambassadors as well, because they're really helping us, if you think about that web, going out there and expanding and growing the work that we do for this society. So as we go forward with the different provinces, that will be something that we will look at and we will see how we can grow. So at this point, I've chatted for a fair bit, and I want to introduce one of our other executives for the Ambassador Program. Her name is Paula Springman, and Paula Springman, when I first met her, was actually a staff member for the MS Society. And Paula decided she wanted to move on to the next chapter of her life. She was going to retire. So anybody who knows me, and there'll be a few smirks when I say this, I'm always out there, and when I come across good people and I really think that they will be a great ambassador, they can volunteer in some aspect for the MS Society. The joke they have is I'm always volunteering them to come and be an ambassador or be a volunteer and get involved. So when Paula retired, we didn't let her go too far. And she's actually going to tell you how it happened when she talks about her personal story. But I'm so glad because she's such a great asset to our Ambassador Executive Committee. So I'll turn it over to Paula now.
Hi, thanks, Marilyn. Can you hear me? Am I good? The Ambassador Program in BC has an executive committee, and at this time I would like to introduce the committee members to you and tell you a bit about each of us. You've met Marilyn. Marilyn Lenson is a longtime volunteer with the MS Society, both provincially and federally, and is well known for her role in the BC Provincial Renewal, National Volunteer Engagement Plan, and government advocacy. Gab Vito has been volunteering with the MS Society since her own diagnosis in 1996. With her working background in the TV news industry, she is known for her skills as an MC, a trainer, and a facilitator. She has worn too many hats to mention in her 24 years with the Society and is a past recipient of the MS Society's President's Award. Gab apologizes for her absence today as she had a conflict with a scheduled family medical procedure. Myself, Paula Springman, an ex-staff person of the MS Society, a volunteer who Marilyn did recruit, ambassador known for my role as an ambassador scheduler. I contact the ambassadors and schedule them for the different events. keeps me busy with this well-received program. Also in 2013 and 14, I had the pleasure of being on the National Volunteer Engagement Team, planning team, along with Marilyn. And that was truly an eye-opening committee to be on. Patricia Wilson, a longtime volunteer, top fundraiser, bike enthusiast, and MS media spokesperson. Again, another member of the executive that I truly admire. And of course, Adrienne. What would we do without Adrienne? Adrienne is the staff person who oversees this program and keeps our whole team on track. Thanks, Adrienne. It's 8 years active, 9 years in the making, as Marilyn commented on, but 8 years this fall that we first did our first training for the volunteer ambassadors in BC. Volunteers in BC have helped the MS Society to be more visible and also have allowed the individuals to become more involved in the work of the MS Society. Ambassadors have taken on roles on fundraising committees such as MS Walk committees and MS Bike committees, MS Golf, and WAMs. Ambassadors have emceed events, walk events, bike events, golf events, workshops, Connect MS, volunteer awards evenings. Volunteer ambassadors have been a part of panels at Connect MS. Volunteer ambassadors around the province have been very active in engaging with local A&Ws. To thank them, attend events on the day of, supporting Burgers to Beat MS, very important to assisting with helping to grow this event. And of course, this year, participating in a very different way by emailing, phoning, and thanking their local A&Ws, all virtually, not out there like they have been in the past, but enjoying eating team burgers on the day of the event, again, making it a successful event for the MS Society. Ambassadors have taken on speaking opportunities at third-party events in recognition of thanking the participants for the acts of greatness and telling their personal stories. Volunteer ambassadors have attended health programs, health partners training to better tell their stories. Volunteer ambassadors have spoken at many events, put out workplaces throughout the province in support of health partners, speaking opportunities, encouraging employees to donate to the MS Society. I've had the pleasure of speaking at many of those events. Volunteer ambassadors have been present at meetings on Parliament Hill, meeting with MLAs, and also meeting with Prime Minister. MS ambassadors have manned tables at local health fairs. Ambassadors help in recruiting vital volunteers, and they attract attention to our events and show the important role volunteers have within the organization. Volunteers are involved with the peer support program. Ambassadors in the communities have helped the MS Society by providing information about the needs of that community and adding to the development of the appropriate and responsive programs in that area. Ambassadors are active on social media and post great information. Ambassadors reach out to the media in their respective communities. Ambassadors are members of the MS Society councils around the province. Researcher ambassadors have given presentations, arranged tours of the labs at UBC, updated all of us on progress in research, fundraised, and attended many MS events. There are so many ways that volunteer ambassadors have filled the aims of the MS Ambassador Program. The ones mentioned are just some of the ways during the past year that ambassadors have made a difference. In these challenging times, we must find new ways to stay connected in our communities. Example, this year, again, reaching out to A&W to thank them by emails, by phone calls, thank you calls to our fundraisers, coffee hours on Zoom with our volunteers, telling your personal stories on Facebook. Ambassadors have a great impact when speaking at events. As a past staff person, I can personally relate to this. When I was on staff and spoke at events, I could talk about research that is being done, focus on statistics, etc. But once my son was diagnosed with MS in 2012, I could tell my story, and I saw firsthand the difference of how my story now impacted the audience. My story begins April 2012. It was Easter weekend. April 7th, I was going to retire at the end of the year. Well, not quite at the end of the year because I wanted to go to Hawaii in December. So set a date of November 30th for retirement. My son came for dinner, Easter dinner, my birthday dinner. He wasn't feeling well. He was very tired and just wasn't himself. By Wednesday of that same week, my son went to a clinic. He was not feeling well. That night, Wednesday night, he went to emergency. He had very serious tremors, pains down his arms, a weakness in his arm. By Friday, he was again admitted to emergency at another hospital. And Saturday morning, after an MRI, we found out my son had MS. Wow. I saw the fear in my son's eyes. I realized that this was going to be his life now. But I looked at him and I told him, I said, don't go there. But you see, he knew what MS was. He knew because he'd been volunteering at Bikes and Walks for many years. So in speaking with you today, I want you to pretend that you were at a golf event and I've been your guest speaker. Well, my story goes on that my son is doing well due to the research that is being done and the disease-modifying drug that he is on that is working for him. But because it's all of you attending this fundraiser and raising money to support the programs and services and the research being done by MS. So I am here at this golf tournament today to talk to you and thank you, because it's because of your efforts that we can carry on doing what we do and enhancing the lives of those living with MS. Staff involvement is very important. At this particular golf tournament that I've been speaking about, there was an MS staff person. She'd been there most of the day, connecting and making sure that she was talking to the people and getting to know them. Also, it's important to stress the programs and services that the MS Society has when you're out talking at an event. So actually, Pat Wilson had joined me at this particular event that I'm talking about, and she spoke about the services and programs, again, informing the participants of why it was so great that they were donating to the MS Society. When I spoke at this particular event, and this was just a year ago that I spoke at this event, there was a gasp when I said that I was retiring from the MS Society. And as I was retiring, my son was diagnosed with MS. But that gasp made the room go silent. And after I was done speaking, the gentleman who'd won the raffle that night stood up and donated back to the MS Society. I knew by speaking about my personal story, I made a personal impact on the group that were listening to me that night. Again, I want to tell you that it's staff and volunteer ambassadors working together, staff networking at Lee Sense while attending with an ambassador, but no well-trained ambassadors cannot take on many events on their own. Ambassadors are the backbone of the volunteers within the MS Society. The ambassadors are so valuable. Let's keep this program growing and utilize the volunteer ambassadors throughout all the province and grow this program. I'm looking so forward to seeing the growth in the next year, 2 years, 3 years. And I hope in my lifetime, we find a cure for MS. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you, Paula. It's Marilyn again. Can you guys all see
Marilyn,
me?
I think it's over to
Okay. Can you guys hear me?
you.
Okay, and you can see me just fine. Okay, we're back to me. Thank you, Paula. As you can see, and Paula tells her personal story, you can see, as she said, the impact of that as we're out and we're speaking. So she also really highlighted a lot of the different things the BC and Yukon ambassadors have done over the years. And now, as we said, we're hoping we're growing that over the other provinces. So how did we get to this point? How did the people get from being comfortable to be able to do that? Well, in our MS Ambassador program, we created what we called the toolbox. So our toolbox, if we can flip to that slide, thank you. Okay, the toolbox is all the things you sort of need as an ambassador so you can go out and you can have the confidence to speak like Paula speaks, like Pat speaks to media, or like I speak, and so many of our other great ambassadors, and you're going to get to hear them give a few examples later on in our Zoom call today. But what do you need to be able to do that? Well, you need to have the key messages from the MS Society. And boning up, we're just going to back up, thank you, to that slide. Boning up on those is really good so that you can quickly pull those stats out of your brain if you're talking to somebody. And that would be sort of, I talk of my personal story about how I was a young mom of 2 kids when I was diagnosed with MS, which is very typical because 3 times more women than men are diagnosed with MS. So being able to take that factoid, as we call it, and somehow weaving that into your personal story is always a good idea. So you need to develop what we call your elevator pitch. And we're going to talk about that more in our session today. And become more sort of media aware. And really what we're going to find in this virtual effort that we're in today is we need to become more social media aware. And we're going to talk about that in future Zoom sessions. And keeping up on what's latest in MS research. So if, you know, I often will run into somebody and they go, oh yeah, MS, I just saw such and such in the news. And it's always a good idea if we can somewhat keep up on those things of things so that we can say, oh yes, oh, that was the on vitamin D. Yes, they are recommending that, you know, people with MS have vitamin D. But for me, what's also really important is they're recommending that my kids also take vitamin D as more of a preventive measure. So again, taking those facts, taking that research and moving it into your personal story, which catches people's attention. So that's our toolbox, and we're going to try and give you some of that toolbox in our session today. So what we need to talk about is when we go out and talk, we need to remember what we call the W's. The W's are who, what, who, why. What does success look like when we talk? When are we talking? Where are we talking? And the key to do this really well is just to make sure that you're well prepared. And that is really the key to, I think, being comfortable getting out and doing it. And we have to say practice does make perfect. I'm just going to check here. Okay, I think everybody, we've got off the frozen screens that some people were texting me about, and we're just going to move on. As we say, as we get into these Zoom processes, I think us as people who are being the facilitators will get more comfortable with it. But today we've got a few glitches happening in the background. So telling your personal story is something that it takes a bit of practice. Some people can do it very naturally. They can just do it without any training. Other people, you need to really kind of sit down. Some of you I know are the type of people where you like writing it out longhand. Other people like recording yourself. Everybody has their different ways of coming up with their personal story so that they can tell it. But what you have to keep in mind is we want to keep it succinct and to the point. You want to find a way of engaging your listener. And the goal of it is, as ambassadors, we really want to increase the awareness of MS and engage in a call to action. So not just talking about it, you know, by doing this today and training you people on this, I really hope that you will all take the opportunity to go out and be ambassadors in your community and use your ambassador skills that we're training with you. So that's my call to action for you for today. So. As ambassadors, when we're telling our personal story, it's really important to paint a picture. So, you know, what is your relationship to MS? So as I mentioned earlier, I was a young mom. I was 40 when I was introduced to MS. I'm the second person in my family who was diagnosed with MS. My younger sister also has it. So how has it changed your life? And I will give you actually later on in our, when we get to our elevator pitches, I will give you a little elevator pitch of how I think I say the F's that MS has brought into my life. So there's a teaser and I'll tell you about that later. But I'm an ambassador and encourage other people to be ambassadors and volunteers with the MS Society because I know that we can do more. We can help out the staff and what they're doing. We can help the MS Society fulfill their mission. Each one of you will have a different reason for being an MS ambassador. And part of painting your picture is telling people why and engaging them so that you can expand that spider web that we talked about earlier. Some storytelling tips. Use plain English. We all are really, you know, probably familiar with like people with MS, PWMS, you know, DMTs, disease-modifying drugs, but you know what? The general public isn't out there. So if you're talking about those things, just, you know, there is a lot of new medications coming online for people with MS. Stay away from the disease-modifying terms and different things like that. Talk in a first-person narrative. I talk about this is how I feel, or we are doing this, opposed to saying, well, the MS Society has programs. I can say, I just participated in programs that the MS Society puts on. Try and make it conversational rather than a lecture out to people so that you're engaging them. Part of when we're doing this live, it's so much easier to engage in that conversation and look around the room and say, oh, Sandy, I see you're looking down at your computer, or, you know, oh, hi there, so-and-so. It's hard to do that in our Zoom format here. And that's something that we're going to have to work at, I think, as more of this virtual world becomes our standard of us people with MS. Talk to, not about. So as I say, I often use the example when I was first diagnosed or I was a young mother, not using the statistic first. I weave my statistic into my story afterwards. I tell it from the heart. And I think, you know, if I go back to my example that I was talking about earlier in the call, when I saw that young girl of 9 talk on the variety thing, she told it from the heart. And because she told it from the heart, how that new wheelchair would help her. Not only did it help her, it helped so many other people. One thing I have to be very conscious of, and I'm trying to be very conscious of it today, is I talk with my hands. I know I do this. So if you see me, I'm trying to sit and I'm trying to hold them down in front of me because I know that can be very, very distracting to all of you who are on the screen today. And the other thing is eye contact. And, you know, it's easy if it's just a one-on-one thing, but maybe you're in a group of people and it's, you know, there's 5 people, there's 20 people, we have 40 people on the call today. Normally when I'm in a room, I'll scan my room beforehand and find some friendly eyes, as I like to call them. And when I'm talking, I'll talk to this person, then I'll talk to that person, then the person out there, and maybe a person here, so that I'm moving my eyes around the room. It's a little hard today because I find I have to look down to our script that we have and look up to you. So that's a little different for us. But as I said, we're all going to perfect this as we go on. So elevator pitches. We want to capture somebody's attention quickly. You might not have one elevator pitch. you might have various different elevator pitches. 60 to 90 seconds. And I'm going to quote Linda McGowan because she said this to me earlier today. I got to be able to complete it when the elevator goes from the 14th to the first floor. So it's got to be short. It's got to be sweet. 150 to 200 words. And make it an easy call to action. Can I follow back up with you next week? Can I talk about this? What is the email that I would send it to? Those types of things so that it's very clear, very concise, and you can move on. And make it memorable. So we have some really good examples of people who come on today, and I think you can see how they make theirs memorable. And you can all start thinking about how you would make your own memorable. Okay, so an elevator pitch typically consists of, everybody has, this is, I will say that this is not in stone, but these are the sort of key cornerstones to make a good elevator pitch. Introduce yourself. I'm Marilyn. I was diagnosed with MS 20 years ago. Have a key issue. I want to engage more ambassadors. Call to action. When at the end of session today, we're going to give you some homework to do. And you will then get the opportunity later on in our sessions to show us that you've done your homework. So I want to thank you for spending the time and doing that, and looking forward to seeing the elevator pitches that you guys all create after doing your homework. So that's just sort of a quick example of that type for you. Who do we give elevator pitches to? Well, as Linda said, it literally could be somebody on an elevator that you pop in, that you run into. But as ambassadors, we're also out there, maybe it's talking to politicians and getting them to come out and be at a local MS walk or bike event. Getting them to understand what some of our key government relationship issues are. As I said, getting people to volunteer at events, bring their expertise. One of the terms I talked about a lot on the National Volunteer Engagement Task Force that we worked at is volunteers don't just bring us hours. They are what I call knowledge philanthropists. We're giving our knowledge that we have. We're donating that to the MS Society. And that is really a key component to helping us drive what the MS Society is able to do. As ambassadors, we can also be out, talking to businesses, asking them to donate things, being at different fundraising events. You can go back and think about it, as we mentioned at the beginning of this, that you can go back into the recording and you can look at all of those different examples of pictures that Paula pulled up. And just try and imagine yourself in some of those situations and think, where in your local area as an ambassador can I go out and can I be effective? Okay, so now at this point, I have to make sure I've got to my right point in my thing. I want to introduce one of our other executives, Pat Wilson. As Paula said, she's a long-term major donor for the MS Society. The first time I did an MS bike was after I was diagnosed with MS for 15 years. When I was involved with my first volunteering for the MS Society, it was when I was doing a local walk. And I had to use a power scooter to do the 5K walk. And so I decided that I needed to up my goal, and I went out and I decided that I was going to do the 2-day MS bike event, 110 kilometers in 2 days. So this is a huge mammoth jump in my physical fitness over those 15 years for me as a person with MS. And I was riding by myself, and it's difficult to ride those things by yourself. Any of you that are involved in those types of things, or even think about going out for walks by yourself. And along came this wonderful person and her whole team, and they said, no, you're part of our team now. You're part of our MS bike team. And Pat and her team adopted me, and they got me through that event. And I have to tell you, it's one of the few times in my life that I've got teary. I crossed that finish line, and thanks to the support of that team, I wouldn't have been able to do it without them. But they got me through, and I've been back there every year doing it since. So on that, I want to introduce Pat to you, and she's going to introduce some great other MS ambassadors to you.
Thanks, Marilyn. Hopefully my speakers are working okay and everybody can hear me. I too scrambled for a headset. When you told that story, it made me cry too as well, Marilyn. You are an absolutely wonderful part of our team, and you really do know how to have a good time, that's for sure. Paula and Marilyn, thank you guys for your stories. Your passion is really embedded in those stories, and we can feel that when you speak. And it gives us all inspiration that we too can do some good elevator pitches. As Marilyn introduced me, I'm Pat Wilson, or Patricia Wilson is my proper name, which I try and go by because sometimes I get introduced as Pat and they're looking for a guy. So I go with Patricia. I'm the newest member of this council, and I'm like to say I'm a bit green about all this, so my speaking parts are a little bit smaller. But my one stick that I always say all the time is everybody knows somebody with MS. And that's kind of the driving force that I bring to every time we speak, anytime we share anything, anytime we're looking to gain some fundraising money. So my role here today is I have the honor of introducing some very experienced ambassadors to give their examples of elevator pitches, which are pretty powerful things. So Marilyn, you said you would give it a go. Let's hear yours. Something to do with the letter F.
Yeah, for me, you know, MS has brought the F's back into my life. And, you know, what are those F's? Well, for me, I had to give up my job after I was diagnosed with MS, and I had a really bad relapse. And it's brought me really focus, I think, back. And that focus, as I mentioned earlier, I am much more fit compared to what I was 20 years ago. And fun. As Pat said, I like to have fun. And MS has brought me back fun. May it be, you know, doing things like this that I really enjoy today, participating in bikes. MS and equals fun to me. And overall, I really think I am a much more fulfilled person. And one of the things earlier that Adrian mentioned, that I was the very lucky recipient of the Canadian National Volunteer Community Award. And one of the things that I said is my volunteer work has been so much more fulfilling to me than what I ever did corporately. So I thank MS for being part of my life. And I encourage other people to find their F's, may it be the focus, the fitness, the fun, or the fulfillment as MS ambassadors.
Thank you, Marilyn. We certainly know you put fun into everything you do. Next up, we have Ray Miller. And Ray's going to give us his elevator pitch, which is a pretty powerful one. And by the way, Ray, that's a great jersey you're wearing. I too have a collection of those.
Hi, Patricia. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you. Can everybody else?
You can hear me? Can you see me okay?
Not yet, but I'll search for you.
No, I'm in the mix. You should be on speaker view so you can see me really closely, because I want to talk to you about MS Bike and why I'm involved with MS Bike.
Okay.
Have you found me now?
I have found you now, and there you are in speaker view.
And there I am in speaker view, and as you can see, I've got this jersey. So I've been a volunteer with MS Bike for, I think the first time I did it was in 2007, of all things, which MS Bike kickstarted my career with a lot of F's as well, fitness and activity and fun. So I've been involved with MS Bike for 13 years and diagnosed with MS for 18 years now. I remember my first time doing MS Bike, and I was way out of shape. I actually broke a spoke on my bike, and it was painful, and I rode it alone. But last year I got adopted by a team as well on the bike team, and it was actually your team. So I don't know why I'm doing the pitch to you, Patricia, but anybody else who would want to do this. If you feel like you're not in good enough shape to do a ride of 30 or 40 or 60 kilometers, volunteer to help out. We can hear, we're here to help and support, and it's not as challenging or as daunting as you might think it is. We have a huge number of volunteers, a huge number of people involved in the event to pull it off. We have great food, we have excellent entertainment, and we have a lot of fun. One of those big F's that Marilyn's talking about. And it's just a great way to connect with other people in the community, in your community, and to see yourself in other people who are maybe doing things that you can't imagine them doing, or inspiring other people who maybe can't imagine themselves doing what you're doing. So that's why I say be involved. Do it to be inspired, but also do it to let yourself be inspired and be involved. So that's my little elevator pitch for bike. Same applies for MS Walk though too. I've been inspired by so many people in both events over the years. That's my little elevator pitch. Did it work okay?
It worked great, Ray. That was awesome. Thank you very much. We're inspired just watching you in that jersey and hearing you speak. Perhaps we could just rent you out. That might be an option, you know. We'll just bring you along and rent you out to these locations and events. And thank you for joining my bike team. And I'm pretty happy to have you guys on board with me. Okay, so the next amazing speaker we have is Linda McGowan, who is an advocate living and making a difference in New Westminster. And I'm thinking she's riding an elevator somewhere right about now. Linda, over to you. Are you there?
There she is.
I am now.
Okay,
no,
good
Ray,
stuff.
can you see me? I should have stayed in my power chair that goes up because in my manual chair I'm pretty low. Okay, my name is Linda. I do have multiple sclerosis. And did you know that Canada has one of the highest rates of MS in the world? I dedicate time and energy addressing accessibility for people with disabilities. Accessibility is the capacity to move around the world without barriers. And it doesn't just address, and it's not meant just for the person with a disability, but also for their family, friends, and community. Let me give you an example. On the west side of New Westminster Quay, there is a dog park, a wide open space where children and families can run with their pets. For my grandchildren and myself, the 2-inch step at the entrance to that park eliminated the shared experience. So what to do? For sure not sit around and moan and groan and complain. Instead, find a direction for your concerns. So a telephone call to the Access Advisory Committee at the City of New Westminster, followed up by a discussion with the engineer in the engineering department, dedicated a commitment that they would change the situation in the spring of 2021. I will for sure follow up on that to ensure it's done, not just for myself, but for anyone, children, people with disabilities, grandparents who want to go with their family to the park. And as well as following up, I think you never have to forget the thank you, thank you, thank you. So I encourage all of you to keep accessibility in your view as you go through life, not just for people with disabilities, but for family, friends, and our community.
And thank you, Linda. We appreciate that. We appreciate your concern, and you're making a difference in New West. And we all need to be more aware of making everything more accessible for everybody. And it's people like you that stand up, put your hand up, and show that we all need to be concerned about that. So thank you. I appreciate that, Linda. So just a little bit of a recap at my end. It looks like we're getting pretty close to our time limit here. This is good. The toolbox that both Paula and Marilyn.
Are we going to be able, Joel, to show Michelle's? Show Michelle's video.
Okay, I apologize. Yes, we're going to try and show this. Yes, good.
Oh, hi, Tracy. Yes, it's been a while since we've seen each other. I guess we've all been stuck at home much more with COVID, and I imagine that you're extremely busy from it. Yes, we are still working on a lot of things at the MS Society. Would you mind if I just took 30 seconds of your time to talk to you about one of them? Oh, thank you very much. So, as you probably remember, we've talked to you before about age-appropriate care and the concerns that we have for younger adults who live in long-term care facilities. Well, COVID certainly hasn't made that situation any better. Now, we have written a position paper about it to explain the concerns we have that younger disabled adults are being missed out of the conversations that are happening about this. Would you mind if I sent it to you? And perhaps we could talk about it. I could book an appointment to see you and talk to you over the phone about it after that. Oh, you wouldn't? Thanks so much. Well, I'll let you get on with your day. Thank you, Tracy.
Well, that worked really well. I wasn't sure if we were able to get that video clip in there. So that was good to hear from Michelle. And she was talking, I think, directly to her MLA, who she knows personally. So that was a powerful thing. She's got that one dialed in quite well, I think. Okay, so now my point is to recap it all. And we appreciate all the verbiage around Toolbox that Marilyn shared and all the great tips and information that's out there. So we encourage everybody to take the time to review your own thoughts and think about what it is you want to say. Think about your story, and then perhaps work on developing your story and connect with somebody that you could practice on it, or even if you do it in the mirror or do it on a video and then play it back to yourself, but just somewhere that you can practice it. And we also have the option that if you're interested in connecting with other volunteers that are here on this call today with us, you can practice your own elevator pitch. So we could certainly pair you up with somebody else to do that. They could practice for you. You could practice back and forth, kind of like what we did last year when we actually got to meet and be together in a room. If you email Adrienne, she can certainly follow up with that, and the team will give you somebody to partner up with. We think that would be a great way to connect and practice your skills. And we all know practice makes perfect. One other thing I'll just give you a little recap is that there's an actual toolbox. I think, Joel, it was attached to the actual email that went out for the Zoom call, and there was an actual little cheat sheet thing in there, which is 5 steps to write elevator pitch. I think it was page 3 or 4, but there's all kinds of great tools in that actual document that was attached. So take a minute. If you can print it off, great. If you can't, just save it on your computer or on your options of what you have, a phone, and you can review all these things. They're all great tips, great helpful tips, and they will certainly help us write our own story. And you know what? Like Marilyn said, you could write more than one. You could write a few of them for sure. So all good stuff. Thank you guys all. And thank you for your pitches. I'm going to hand it back over to you, Adrienne.
Actually, so I'm going to ask a question before we go to Adrienne.
Okay.
So
I missed that part in my notes.
That's okay. That might have been one of our last revisions to this script, that we have multiple revisions out there. So I want to ask again. I asked at the beginning of our session today how many people saw themselves believing that as ambassadors you can connect and empower and the MS community to create positive change. So I know there were some thumbs up, and I really hope that the tools that we've given you, the examples that we've given you today of different people talking and the pictures and all of this, that those of you who didn't put your thumbs up, hopefully are realizing that, yeah, there is a way. And for those of you who did, that we've reinforced all of the different things that we can do as ambassadors, and how we can really work together with the MS Society and create a bigger impact and end MS in our communities. So on that point, I'm going to turn it back over to Adrienne. She's going to wrap up, and we're going to have questions and those different types of things. So off to you, Adrienne.
Great, thank you. Just a big thank you to Ray and Linda, Marilyn, and Michelle for doing their elevator pitches. They sounded great, well done. I certainly have learned a lot from today's session, and I hope that everyone is taking away some new skills and a sense of connection, and just knowing that we're here to support you. I'm just wondering if there's any questions that people might have from the floor. I did see that somebody was wondering if we have a cheat sheet of key messages, so I can actually answer that question myself and say yes, we do have that. So as we move forward, we're going to be looking towards creating some resources for the MS ambassadors. So as we create those, we'll definitely circulate that information to anyone. But just wondered if anybody else had any other questions that they might want to ask now. You could just raise your hand or unmute yourself and just ask the question, because I'm just going through the chat right now and I don't see anything else, just a lot of thank yous and a lot of gratitude to those people that were doing the presentations. So I guess if there's no questions, if I know it's a lot of information for people to digest, and you're welcome to follow up with an email to myself. I'm more than happy to answer any questions that come up after this session, or if you have any things that you want to share, just feel free to send me an email. I do want to take a moment to thank you all for taking the time to attend. I extend a huge thank you to the Ambassador Executive, Marilyn, Gab, Paula, and Patricia. This program would not exist without you. I've worked at the MS Society for quite a while, and I can honestly say that any program that I've been involved in is successful because of the support, talent, and dedication of volunteers, whether it be volunteer lawyers and advocates helping with VLAP, speakers for our newly diagnosed sessions, or local community fundraising events. The power of volunteerism has created and will continue to have a huge community impact. So I'm so excited in our next steps together. Please know that we are here for you to encourage, support, and help make things happen. And it truly was an honor to have the opportunity to connect with all of you. I also just wanted to flag for people that we do really want to hear your feedback. So at the end of the 4 sessions, we will be circulating a feedback survey for people to fill out. So please take the time to do that, because we really do want to hear from you. And then just a quick recap on our next sessions. Our next one is on October 17th, which is going to be focusing on MS research. We're going to have a few videos to share of MS researchers explaining their work in layperson's terms. And then we'll look at how we can weave this information into your story and make an impact on an audience. And then the second part of that is volunteers will have the opportunity to meet with MS Society staff, who will provide a high-level overview of what's happening in different areas, so research, programs and services, government relations and advocacy, fund development, and public awareness. And there'll be lots of discussion on ways that volunteers can get involved. So this is really a collaborative discussion. And October 24th, this is going to be a super fun session. We will be learning on how to become successful social influencers and how to make our own videos. So looking at Instagram storylines, selfie videos, and live videos. And on October 29th, that will be our wrap-up session. So we hope to showcase some of the videos and also just hear from you about what worked well for these sessions and what you'd like to see in the future, and just to bring people together. So thank you everyone for attending. Just really so pleased that we were able to make this happen. And if anybody has anything that they want to share before we close, I welcome that. I'm just going through the chat right now. Just lots of thank yous.
Somebody asked,
Yep.
I forget your name, my apology, I did respond back to you. What do you want us to do between now and our future calls? And work on that personal story, what your connection is, and try and develop an elevator pitch or two, so that next time you're in a situation where somebody asks something about MS, it's something that you're ready and able to talk about.
Great. Well, I think that's everything. Thank you so much to everyone for attending. Super happy to have people from, across the 4 provinces and bring everyone together, and really looking forward to hopefully seeing most of you at our next session. And if you have any questions or anything that you want to discuss, feel free to send me an email. Thanks so much. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.